I'm Stephanie and let's talk books. So it's January and I know many of you have been setting your Goodreads goals for the year. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the ways that I am able to read over 100 books a year. I know for some people that just seems like an astronomically high number, and for others that is a very easy goal. So before we get into the video, let me just say that these are some of the things that have worked for me in my lifestyle and my reading style, and they may or may not work for you, but I'm hoping that there will be one or two things in here that you can take away and maybe apply to your reading to help you read a few more books this year. If you have any recommendations or suggestions for other viewers on how you are able to read more books in a year, go ahead and leave those down in the comment section below so we can chat, because you guys may have a different experience that might help somebody that I cannot. So first off, I need to say that I am a very fast reader. I have always been a very fast reader and can get through a lot of books just because of my reading speed. Some of that is probably genetic because my dad is also an avid fantasy reader, but some of it is just that I read so much as a child that I just learned how to speed read. So if you are a slower reader, you can do some things to improve your reading speed. I'm sure you can go onto YouTube and find loads of videos on speed reading and how to improve your reading speed, but if you're a slow reader, that's something that you can definitely do to help get through more books. Now, I don't tend to speed read books because I don't process the information as much as I would like. For me, reading is definitely a fun thing and I like to keep it fun, but by improving your overall sort of maximum reading speed, your sort of average leisurely reading speed will also go up. One of the big things is to know that when you are reading, you do not have to read every single word of the text for your brain to be able to understand and interpret what is on the page. You also don't have to read it at the speed you would if you were reading it out loud, because your brain can process faster than that. So if you're a person who either sort of reads to themselves in their head like they're reading it out loud, or if you're a person who reads every single word, working on one of those two things first will be super helpful. So secondly, I want to talk about audiobooks. Audiobooks are a great resource for readers, especially nowadays that so many audiobooks are available online. Gone are the days when you are paying $40, $50, $60, $70, $80 for a hard copy of an audiobook. A lot of local library systems have audiobooks which you can check out and listen to for free. There's also subscription services like Audible where you can get a credit for an audiobook, and you're maybe spending $15 on a book as opposed to, again, $40, $50, $60, $70, or even $80 for an audiobook. For me personally, I have a job where I can listen to audiobooks at work, and that is really great because I do read several audiobooks a month at work. I know that's definitely not something that a lot of people are going to have access to, where your job allows you to listen to audiobooks at work, but there are a lot of everyday activities where you might be able to swap in an audiobook for something else. So for example, if you have a commute, whether you're driving or you're taking a train or a bus, listen to an audiobook. If you are a runner, you can listen to the audiobook while you're running, or maybe when you're working out at the gym, or even just doing household chores, like if you're folding laundry or doing the dishes, you can have an audiobook on and be listening to it while you're doing something else. Another great thing about audiobooks is if you have a digital copy of the audiobook, you can usually listen to it at a slightly faster speed. Some people will listen at 2 or 3 times speed. I tend to listen to at 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 speed, depending on the audiobook narrator. Some audiobook narrators narrate very, very slowly, and I need to just speed them up a little bit more. Of course, you can't do this if you're listening to a hard copy of an audiobook, but the digital ones do allow you to listen a little bit faster. Because I know for me, I read way, way faster than I could get through it in an audiobook. but because of sort of the portable multitasking nature of an audiobook, I can listen to an audiobook when I wouldn't necessarily have the time to sit down with a physical book. Another thing that I do is I have a wide variety of books that I will be reading during the year, and that helps my book number for sure. I've read a lot more books in 2019 than I did in 2018, and part of that is because I had added in some other categories of books that I didn't really read a lot of in 2018. So some of the things I added were graphic novels, short stories, and novellas, as well as reading more in the YA genre. So obviously, something that is very art focused, like a graphic novel or a manga, is going to be a much shorter read. Short stories and novella, again, they're shorter and they are going to take a lot less time to read, and both of those will count towards your Goodreads goal the same as a more traditional novel. I want to talk a little bit about YA. One of the things you will notice if you are a YA reader and an adult reader is that the font and the spacing of YA books is much bigger than in adult books. That kind of fluffs the page count a little bit. So a 400-page YA book and a 400-page adult book are going to have vastly different word counts and are going to take you a significantly different amount of time to read. So if you are someone who predominantly reads adult books, you can try to check out some YA series for something that's a little bit lighter, a little bit quicker, and is not going to take as much time. Now, if you don't like YA, that's fine, that's cool, but I would recommend checking it out because there are some really good things in the YA genre. For me, it's a little bit harder to find than in the adult section. I have a lot more misses with YA, but if I'm looking for something that's kind of a little bit lighter, a little bit less intense, maybe a series that I can binge read a little bit more quickly, I love the YA genre for that. One of the biggest things that I think helps me read a lot of books is that I do not watch a lot of TV or other media. So I had a period of time in my life, probably 4 or 5 years, when I did not have cable, and I got used to not watching the TV all the time. Sure, I might binge watch Netflix on occasion, but I use that extra time to do other hobbies. Now that reading is kind of one of my main hobbies, a lot of that time is dedicated to reading. So when I get home from work and I want to just chill on the couch for an hour, I'll do that with a book as opposed to an episode of a TV show. So if you watch a lot of TV or let's say video games or binge a lot of Netflix, consider cutting back on that time and reallocating some of that time towards reading if that is your goal to read more. I do currently have cable as well as a couple of subscription services, so I do watch TV and shows and movies, but I'm a lot pickier about what I watch, what I feel like is worth my time investing, especially some of those serial series that are a really big time commitment. And it might take a little while to kind of get used to decompressing in a different way, but reading is a really great way to de-stress and relax, of course depending on what book you're reading, and it's also a great way to get a little bit better sleep if you are reading immediately before bed as opposed to watching TV or being on your phone, because you're not exposing yourself to all of that blue light stimulus, which will help tell your brain that it needs to stay awake as opposed to going to sleep, which you want it to do. Lastly, I just want to say that it will be a lot easier to reach your reading goal if you are reading books that you really enjoy. So I find that forcing myself to finish a book that I don't enjoy or picking something up that somebody else thinks that I should want but I'm not really interested in is a great way to get me into a reading slump where I'm not interested in reading and I just don't feel like picking the book up, and it's really easy for me to get distracted and spend my reading time doing something else. So definitely make sure that you fill your 2020 TBR with things that you're excited about reading, and if some of them happen to be dud, it's okay to DNF and just move on to the next thing, because you'll be happier and you'll probably read a whole lot faster if you're reading something that you actually enjoy. So those are some of the things that help me personally reach my 100 books a year reading goal. I really hope that you guys are pumped and excited for all of the books you're going to read in 2020. So let me know down in the comment section below, what is your Goodreads goal for the year, and do you have a book or series that you are super excited to read this year? Thanks for watching!